It went to play again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Women Let's Around the Corner. Let's talk about it, right? My name is Janae. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for the Mom Link, and I'm super duper excited. But y'all probably like, well, we saw like the other ladies. Where are they? Hey, Crystal. Hey, Camille. Hey, Mary. Well, they're not here, so I'm filling in the gap in the void. But I'm not by myself. I have one of our dynamic leaders from our community that's here. And please apologize for the construction that's going on in my house right now. So your house, some banging. But when I'm not talking, I'm going to put it on mute. Okay, so you don't have to be distracted by that. But this young lady, she answered the call and she said, hey, I'm here if you need me. And I'm like, girl, yes, come on up. So I want to introduce to some and reintroduce to others, none other than Miss Debbie Dowling. Debbie!
Hey, how is everyone doing today? I'm so excited to be here and I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation because I love to talk, especially when it comes to leadership.
Yes, we're talking about the role of leadership and the impact on leadership on the community dynamics. What does that mean exactly? Because there'll be a lot of people, who are leaders, they may be leaders, right? But they may not have a tribe or community. But I think that most times, just because you don't have a tribe or community that you're actively engaged in, you call something like the Mod Squad or whatever the case may be, doesn't necessarily mean that you still don't have a community. To me, Debbie, the impact and the role of leaders as far as community dynamics is they're going to have a tribe regardless because people are going to follow them based off their leadership skills. You agree?
I agree. And I also find that, with leaders are people that if they see somebody that can't do what they're doing or is struggling with something, they take their strengths and they teach them so that they can walk alongside each other instead of just being ahead of everybody and making everybody feel like they're behind them. A good leader brings everybody with them.
Absolutely. It's because you see the potential. John C. Maxwell is a guy, some people know he's a preacher, he's a businessman, and he has a lot of books about leaderships, leadership. He actually, during the pandemic, created the John C. Maxwell Leadership Academy. And he's like 60 plus years old. And it's like, hey, you're never too old. You're never too old. He got the idea and it's a full go. Again, sorry about the saw that's, in the background, but we're going to keep it moving. So I agree that leaders that see the potential, like ICP, like you might not be there, potential of a person, and Debbie, a true leader, you're going to rise the potential in that person and you're going to draw out their strength, make them even more confident about it. And the weaknesses that they are, which I don't like weaknesses word, I call them the lesser strengths that they have are
Right.
going to be developed to where they can get up there with the stronger ones. So 100% agree. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to be talking about. So we would love, love, love for you to chime in, put in the comments, because we do look at that as well. And I'm going to quickly remove us out of the way so that we can bring up our dynamic speaker who, oh, by the way, is not Dr. Taylor Tavis. No, so that person see on the flyer is not presenting today, all because of my little hiccup. Woo, boy, my time zones. So, yeah, miscommunication on my part. But I had to fill in the void and bring you someone still that is very impactful in leader as far as community, but all things leadership, right? Subject matter expert. This young lady, whole organization, whole company, business is geared towards leadership. She never ever wavers from it because believes that is the foundation, as I do, for success. It really is. Natural born leaders are leaders who are gleaned and groomed to become that leader or that replacement or even that forerunner, whatever in their business organization are successful. I don't know a leader that I don't know the name of that, that's just not successful. And success is different for everybody. So don't think it's about money. Mother Teresa, best leader of all times. Hello. Listen, but did she have buku 7 figures? Absolutely not.
Oh,
But she was a true leader, right? No one agree with that statement. Like if you do, oh Lord. But anyway, bless you. But she is a dynamic leader, but she make seven figures. She money her thing. So success for leadership doesn't necessarily mean money. All right. And so I might be spilling some beans. So let me not steal this young lady's fire. So I'm gonna introduce the some and reintroduce the others. None other than Dr. Andrea Diaz. Hello. Thank you so much for filling in the gap.
Hi.
You look absolutely amazing for a 20-minute. Hey, I got to get cute for video.
Hey, I'm a professional that way.
My sister says if you stay ready, she said you don't have to get ready. She said I was ready. I said okay, so that be you. So Dr. D, you heard we were talking about a little bit about leadership, but before we jump into that, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Oh my gosh. First of all, thank you, Janae, for having me. Thank you to the Mom Link and everyone for having me. I've always been a supporter since day one from back in the day. And so yay, Mom Link, building community one person at a time, one woman at a time. And thank you for having me and having this insightful discussion. So my name is Dr. Andrea Diaz, and I am president of American Management and Leadership by Design. What do? We fix businesses and we strengthen leadership. And I live, eat, breathe leadership. And here's the thing, I was thinking of, when people say, well, what do you do? I was like, well, you need 3 reasons why you want to talk to me. If you want, first of all, I make the joke that I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of people, they really can't say that, but I have the receipts with the degrees and, their credentialing. Number 2, I listen to people. That's my superpower. See, leadership is not about telling people what to do. It's actually about listening to them, making them feel seen and heard, and then moving the boat along. And not getting into that detail and minutia. Number 3, I make learning fun. I make cultural change fun. See, I don't have to worry about the backlash because I don't work for you like that. And so I can actually have real conversations, because a lot of people don't say what they really want to say because they don't want to torpedo something or whatever. And so I get to walk in and I look at them and I'm like, well, do you really believe that? Or do you expect me to believe that? Because I'm going to tell you exactly what I see. And all I do is look, because a lot of people can't see when they're in it. But it's really great walking in, and I love and that's all I do. And I don't really talk for the first few minutes. But anyway, that's who I am. I'm grateful for Janae because Janae, when I started talking about leadership to her about 2 years ago, she pulled the car over, took out her notebook, and was writing as I was talking to her. And I wasn't training her. I was just telling her about certain things. And I really believe that our paths crossed because they were supposed to cross. And I really believe that in a former life that she was my spirit sister. So when we did cross, it was like we knew each other for years because we were kindred spirits. And so anyway, blah, 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 blah. But leadership, I'm all about it. I'm all about letting women know that you don't have an attitude, you just have an opinion. And don't let someone else's, see, and here's the thing, a lot of people will project their ish onto you. I can say that, right? A lot of people, they're like, oh, well, you're this. No, you're really not. They're just threatened by you. Please recognize and understand. So please get some emotional intelligence along with your leadership leads to the psychology of leadership. And please understand what you can and cannot do. I defer the mic. Go ahead, ladies.
Debbie, what you got for her?
Well, I really love that you said that. And, a lot of times people do try to put their ish on you. And I love that you said that. And what I really loved is how you said about listening. When you listen to somebody and get out of them what it is that they really need. Sorry for my assistant trying to walk through. But yeah, I love that you said that. And I think that all good leaders need to be good listeners as well and really hear what it is that their people need from them. So I really love that.
Thank you.
You said that, about putting your ish on other people, but as a leader with a community with different individuals from all across the walk, life, north, south, east, and west around the world. And you said something else, having an emotional intelligence in check. So as a leader, hint, hint, clue, clue, we talk about the role of leadership, the impact on a community dynamics, you must have your emotional intelligence in check when you have different personalities, community from, people everywhere. So no one's ish get on anyone, right? You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. Exactly.
And so as a leader yourself and having a community, what do you do to help others within your community, get that concept of emotional intelligence and not, um, having any type of that negativity within your tribe?
So this is actually leadership also has to do a lot with culture, part therapist. If people don't really understand that as a leader, you think to yourself, no, I'm supposed to just, guide the ship. No, you're also part therapist. And so this is why I talk about having emotional intelligence. And if people are being negative in the community, I would ask why. Because a lot of times we just want to blame, we just want to do this, we just want to fight, we want to fix, and we don't want to know like why. I'm not tell me about your childhood, but why do you feel? And there's a lot of times it's because they're insecure, they feel threatened, they're scared, they're tired, they're this. And so as opposed to saying, wow, let me work on myself, they lash out at people. And so I want to say the average, Josephine, I want to say average Joe, but Josephine, the average Josephine walking by in her own head was like, where'd that come from? What did I do to you? And you don't really understand that you're just the person that happened to walk by. And it could have been Amy, Betty, Samantha, and the same thing would have happened. You just happen to be the person, but now you made it all about you. Oh, why me? Oh, and it's really not that critical. And so, you know what I mean? So a lot of times we don't look at the other point of view, and I'm not excusing the behavior, but a lot of times if you understand where this behavior is coming from, so I don't get upset when people get threatened by me because it's not me. Because I know that my name could be anything, is what I represent. And I'm not your problem. You have another problem. So when you can get past those things, thank you so much. I love the vibe here too. And so when you can get past those things, you know what I mean? Then it makes it a lot easier. So when people do lash out, you're not being triggered by that lash because you understand it's not you. And that's the whole thing about emotional intelligence, triggers, this, that, and the other. Like, you know what I mean? And so like when someone gets mad at you or snaps at you, you're automatically like, I want to, but that's not it. You should really be like, oh man, I'm so sorry for you. Why are you snapping? Like, not in a way like, why is it me? Like, what's making you want to behave like this? Because and people, okay, I need to digress. People are like, why are you wearing a tiara? And number one, it's an icebreaker. But number two, I say, if this sets you off, like makes you have a bad day, you have a problem. Like there's something larger, because this little piece of Amazon, whatever, for like $8 should not ruin your day. Like, you understand me? And then when you see people like that, those are the people I identify as having deeper issues. You understand me? And then we might have to do some additional work. Mind you, I never said anyone's wrong. I never said get rid of them. I just said we have to do some additional work. And if they're worth the work, then put the work in. That's all. I don't have my glasses on. What does that say?
Absolutely.
Debbie, go.
Yeah, and I actually love your tiara. I think I need to get myself one, maybe like a crown even. So, but yes, and you again touched on the whole part of listening. And I think that a lot of leaders and a lot of people in general just miss that listening part. And you don't know what somebody else is going through, but when you listen, you're able to help them and bring them in and be able to assist them to grow and to be a better leader. So again, it all goes back to that listening, which also connects with communication. And if you don't have open lines of communication and good communication, oh boy, you're in trouble.
For sure.
Oh no, you're in trouble. Listen, because understanding that the surface is really superficial, but the root is deep. Sometimes we have to be mindful of that. Don't judge people for what you see. Understand what's the source, like you said, that may run deep. And people say, well, I'm not your coach. Well, some people say, I'm your coach, I'm not your therapist. But we're not talking about coaching. We are talking about leadership. Okay, so understand, we're talking about leadership and an impact on a community. So if you're a coach that's a leader, then you might want to know that you're a leader 24/7, 7 days a week, around the clock, especially when you have a community. Now, if coaching is just your thing and you don't have a tribe or something like that, got it. But in essence, we are all leaders. So you got to look at the potential. You got to understand to debunk any type of negativity, that you also have to be emotionally intelligent and put not only yourself in check so that the energy that's out there won't disrupt your flow, but you have to be able to head off the flow and be reactive to the flow, but not in a way that two wrongs, which don't make a right, is happening, right? No beat downs, no beat downs today. So, Debbie, go for you, because this noise is like, woo.
Yeah. So we talked about like community and everything with leadership. So what would, if you had one thing to tell a leader that would be your very first and biggest piece of advice, what would that be?
And it would actually be a question. It wouldn't be me telling you, because me telling you doesn't help, because I don't know you yet.
Right.
So what does it matter what I tell you if I don't know you?
Yeah. So it comes down to, you have to get to know the person. So what might be something
So the first thing I would say is, how are you? So for example, I will tell you that I texted someone of a very high position, and I said, how are you? And then I did a space. I said, legitimately, how are you? Because everyone just thinks it's a cursory, oh yeah, fine, and then that's it. But that's not what it is. And if you've ever been a leader, you understand that weight. And you understand that you can only show so much, because even though you want to be vulnerable and authentic, you still have to be above the fray. And so it's a very lonely place to be a leader. And so and it's not a glamorous thing. And so I want to tell you, for all those who think that it's glamorous and you see the TV and the headshots and the this and then that, you're not seeing the people up at 4 a.m. You're not seeing the people up at midnight. You're not seeing them missing the games and sacrificing part of their personal life so they can still steer that ship. So please understand that there is a personal sacrifice to be a leader. And then if someone needs you, sometimes you have to weigh what, where do you spend that time? And so as a leader, not only do you have to care for a lot of people, because a lot of people have adopted the servant leadership approach, let me take my people, let me do it for my people, let me care for my people, which is awesome. But what happens is that the leader doesn't know how to care for him or herself. And because we don't know how to, so it's easy to say, and I get frustrated, and I love when people are like, oh, well, you have to. And then you're like, you know what, if it was so easy, wouldn't it have already been done? And so it's not so easy. So don't lose the empathy and the humanity of leadership. Don't lose the humanity of your leader. Don't think that they're not a human being, because they get up and they get tired and they have rough days. But guess what? They're holding it together for you because they picked up that mantle. It was a choice. They picked up that mantle and they said, I'm going to lead you. I'm going to make a difference, because making a difference is not easy. Like what Janae was talking about, Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa did a lot of sacrificing, a lot of giving, a lot of, excuse me for 1 second, no ma'am, upstairs, no ham, no turkey, nope, mommy's all, get out of here. And so, yeah. And so a lot of people, they give so much of themselves that they don't know how to say, I am tired. I am this, I need. A leader, it's rare that you will actually hear a leader say, I need, not in terms of a personal sense, not the business sense, right? I need you to go make 10 more widgets or whatever. So what? You expect that, right? But you don't expect a leader to say, I'm tired. I need some help. I need some rest. I need to take a break. Because a leader thinks that they can't have a chink in his or her armor. They think that they can't and they have to. And so the first question I really say to them is, how are you? And I wait. And I'm like, no. I don't mean how and that's why I always say legitimately. Right. How are you? And it stumps people because they don't know, because someone's actually saying, yeah, how are you? Someone's actually saying, you're asking me what I want, because leaders aren't asked what they want. They're asked what they're supposed to give for the entire organization, but they're not asked what they personally want. And so it throws them for a loop. And so they need the help. They need the support as well. And so I would say, so it's not so much advice, but it's just like, how are you? Excuse me 1 second.
Look, we say mommy mode. But y'all know she was that classy mommy. She said, hold on, let me hit this mute button.
And so, but that's what it is. And so we don't know. A lot of times we don't know how to talk about us, like us, the person, the real us, the us that has the kid running in as you, even though you warned them, even though you warned them not to, you know what I mean? And so you don't, and because if you show that side of vulnerability, you're like, well, are you going to think that I'm not capable? Are you going to think that I can't do the job? Are you going to start questioning me because I let you know that I have a vulnerability? Are you going to use that against me? Like, there's so many layers to this. And it's not just just go ahead and do this, because there are repercussions, consequences, domino effects. If this happens, that happens. You know what I mean? So we have to create the right culture. We have to, and I know this is a very long answer, but like,
no,
but
it's great.
We have to create the right culture, the right dialogue. We have to start implementing the right language, the right behaviors, emulating the right behaviors, even though we want to, do that, like, to someone. We don't actually have but we don't have the luxury of being like that as a leader. Because if you when I say upset your followers, like if you alienate your followers, then who are you leading?
Yeah, and I love the answer to that question. And you really touched upon a lot of what people misconceive leaders do. They think that leaders just sit there, collecting and just bossing everybody around. And that's not the case. They don't see the behind the scenes, the stress and the worry and the lack of sleep and the lack of being able to participate in family things and vacations and all that good stuff. So I love that you brought that into that whole answer, because that truly is what a leader does. And people don't see what goes on behind the closed doors. And we sometimes forget that leaders are people too.
That's the humanity of leadership. Yeah,
that's I love that question. How are you? Because they're not asked that question.
Yeah, so when people say, what piece of advice, you'd be like, well, what? I think in a way, to me, that just says that everything's about me. And if you're really a leader, nothing should be about you. You know what I mean? It's always about the other person. So when you're like, well, what piece of advice? Well, how about I get to know you? How about I get to actually, give you an answer that works for you, as opposed to some generic answer, because I just think that this works for everybody. And that's a boohoo thing, and especially being a woman leader, that's even more challenging, because you're always because we're battling the stigmatism. See, the younger people, they're growing up in a different time, but we grew up in the time of Dynasty, where you had like Joan Collins and stuff like that with the power pads, you know what I mean? And people bossing around on Wall Street in the 80s and jockeying for a position, and you don't want people to use information against you as a weapon. Like, it's a whole thing. So now to say, oh, well, I'm going to be a woman leader, but then people say, well, bring a chair to the table. No, it's not that easy. Everyone likes people who make it. They make it like to seem like it's so easy. No, you need mentors. You need advocates. There's a strategy to be getting to the C-suite. There's a strategy to climbing the table. So that's not all about leadership. Like, what do you like? What do you think it is? Like, it's not so easy. And I don't like people who pretend like, don't you? Oh my God, that's the worst. The worst.
Listen, you stepping on folks' toes. She going through the pews, y'all. Ouch, ouch, ooh, 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 sorry, y'all. She's stepping on your toes. If that's you, get you just some cream, rub it out. Because one, she said it's hard work. You know what? And that the first thing that reminded me is I heard a leader say, hey, I'm not taking the elevator. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not taking the elevator. I'm taking the stairs, because the stairs is harder to do than just to push a button to take you up. Success is not a button pusher elevator. It is a put your back into it, lean forward, going up 10 flights of stairs, sweating, tears, type of deal. Uh-oh. Lord.
That's a football lover right there. That's a football lover right there.
And the season's about.
And I was about to say, these things are coming, y'all. Time for the tailgating. Get your stuff together. Come, ladies, let's go do our stuff and be like, daddies, take the kids.
Right? Yeah, we digress. The sports enthusiasts came out. We're gonna do segments like that too, y'all. It's August. Okay, back to business. Got distracted. All right, so you said something else though. Okay, we talked about it's putting in the work, but you also said about people think one thing. So in the military, I thought one thing about Debbie was really saying it too. When leadership, we make it look easy. We apologize because it's not easy. Put a disclaimer out here. If I make this look easy, I apologize because it's not. But in the military, I did exactly what Debbie was talking about. I saw my officers, or less we didn't see the officers. And because we didn't see the officers, we was like, they don't never do no work. We out here, we doing PT. What they for PT? Like we out here in the motor pool. What they at? Why they ain't underneath the hood? It's hot out here. I mean, we would have something for everything. And then I became an officer. Then I understood that while you at PT, they in somebody's meeting. Like while you doing this, they in another meeting. Meetings after meetings after meetings. I didn't get to see the work, and when we gone, I didn't get to see that they're still there. I didn't get to see that sometimes when we come in, they might have left just 3 or 4 hours beforehand. I didn't get to see all that, but I got to experience it once I crossed over. But it just really does tell you that we took this two ways. We say, as a dynamic leader, this is what a leader does. They see the potential in the people, they groom them, they build them up within the community. Then once they handle it, as far as emotionally intelligent, to be identified, to understand that things are surface, be deeper than that individual. Then talking about, hey, as a leader, it takes work. You ain't got no push button leaders in this, well, you shouldn't in your community. You have to have those leaders that's going to actually go up them flight of stairs and put their back into it in blood. And then we come down to say, because we make it look like you said, bring your seat to the table. What does that mean? It takes work to bring your seat to the table. And so those all were great points. So as we get ready to wrap this up, because this has been so great, leadership and the dynamics of the community, and you went to and you flipped it to leader. Now community, look at your leader. Your leader may make it look easy, but when was the last time you asked your leader how are they doing? You see them being consistent and showing up, doing different things on Facebook or having events that you show up at, right? Are coming to different places. I mean, that takes a lot of work. And their mom and their wife, and they might already have a 9 to 5 too, as well, on top of their business and their community too. I say we always have a platter, not a plate. But sometimes hindsight 2020, like Dr. D said, sometimes you just have to, as a community too, reflect and look at your leader and do a shout out. Do a shout out in the Facebook community. Let them know. We see you. We see you. And I like that you took it there, because I was like, this is amazing. So I'm gonna do a call to action. My call to action is, if you are part of a community, if any community, I don't care what community you are in, you need to put on that page, that Instagram or whatever, or however y'all communicate, WhatsApp, you need to right now, when you see this hashtag replay or whatever, do a shout out and say, I have the most amazing leader. Don't know nothing else. They're not going to know where this is coming from, but it's going to make such an impact to their day, to see the love, to see the outpour. So that's my call to action to you guys before this is over with. I want y'all to take action like right now. You got the text message, you got their number, shoot them a message and say, I got the most amazing leader. Like we brought it all the way around from that leadership perspective, the sacrifices, not seeing it, and to say, hey, you don't have to be a 7-figure income earner to be a leader. You can be a Mother Teresa and still be a leader. Listen, I don't push religion on anybody, but I do like to say servant leader, and we say service to many leads to greatness. And the best servant leader I know is the man who washed the feet of the person who betrayed him, and 11 more to go with it on his knees. Y'all, feet could be icky, but he washed the feet. And then to wash the feet of somebody that betrays you, servant heart. So that emotional intelligence, we can talk about things, but the best thing, our self-help or guidebook that we talked about these different points, right? And I read all these different points with this particular leader that I admire. And it's in the basic instructions before leaving this earth. And I call that the BIBLE. And that leader I'm talking about, his name was Jesus. And like I said, I don't push religion on anybody. It's a book that I read, and that the conversation we're talking about reminded me of that person washing people's feet. And it said that one person betrayed him, and he still washed their feet. If that ain't emotional intelligence, whoo, love, I don't know what is. Because could you do that? Could you? Could you do that? But we also understand that Dr. G said earlier, we are human. We ain't that human, but we are human. And I will speak for myself. I couldn't do it. The flesh would have gotten in the way. And then I'll probably correct it later, but the flesh would have gotten in the way. Just saying, got to keep it real. But that is the leader's responsibility. They have to compare themselves to something to say, did I miss the mark? Did I hit the mark? What can I do to improve, to make the mark even better, or to get through the mark? Over to you, Miss Debbie.
Yeah, and I want to add, because what you said was, you said a lot that was really great. And I just wanted to add that a good leader is not going to ask anybody to do anything that they wouldn't do themselves. And it just shows that they can lead by the power of example. And I think that a lot of times that's the best way to lead, is by example. So if you're not willing to do it yourself, are you really a leader, or are you a dictator?
Over to you, Dr. D.
That was a mic drop right there. That was like,
drop that mic. Go ahead on. Boop, boop, boop. I don't know what you got after that. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Closing comments, Dr. D.
How can you follow that? She said, if you're not willing to do it yourself, then they're not a great leader. And absolutely. But I also say, just remember that your leader is also a human being. They might have a title behind them, but they're also flawed. And sometimes just cut them a little slack. Don't look for perfection in your leader. They're a human being too. So cut them a little slack. Let them know that, you know what? Everyone gets, how Spider-Man says everyone gets one. That's how you do it with your leader. Everyone, your leader gets one time to lose their mind with you. And then you move on, because guess what? You would want someone to forgive you and move on too, right? And not hold that one time against you. That one time you said 5 years ago, like that's not productive. Okay, so that's all. They're a human being too.
Yes, I love it. And so here is the call to action for you right here. Call to action. Boop, boop, boop. Send a text. Tell them they awesome. That we send your leaders in your community. Send them a text and tell them that they're awesome. Show them some love out of the blue. Nothing else to it. That's it. That's all we ask of you. We hope that you guys enjoyed this segment. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch this. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Catch us next week, same time, same bat channel at noon here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook in the MomLink community. And in our absence of our visionary and founder, Miss Crystal Almeida, she'll be here back same time, same channel next week, as well as our other two directors, Director of Social Media, Ms. Mary Massey, and Director of Education, none other than Ms. Camille Jones. So with that, thank you, Ms. Debbie, our Sales Members Coordinator, for being on the mic with me today. Y'all, this is not scripted. This is less than 5 minutes and we hit start. Let's go, ladies. No practice. I think the flow went well. All right, y'all. Here. Bye-bye. Have an amazing rest of your Thankful Thursday. Peace. Oh, remember to like, share, and follow, and subscribe to the MomLink